2017. I'm Heather Van Cura, and we're doing some night hacking interviews. We have our first interviewee here today, Robert Reeves. Hello, Robert. Want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Robert Reeves, CTO and one of the co-founders at Datical.
So, Datical, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what Datical is and what they do?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Well, it's a little-known secret. It's a real challenge to update the database when you release an application. And so what we do is we automate that. We bring DevOps to the database, and kind of like what we've seen application release automation, products like those, we are database release automation.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. We talked a little bit about that before the interview, and I saw that you have a little bit of an intriguing title. I guess maybe, to pull people in to see your talk. What's the title? Share the title first.
Well, it is making database changes a tier 1 artifact. And what we've seen is that there are two paths to production, one for application code and one for database schema and logic changes. That's inefficient. All right, what we need to do is align those database changes with the application code changes and have them go through the same process. And there's a lot of things you can do to make that happen. Datical is one of those options, and we're just going to talk about the benefits. Also, it's right after the happy hour, so we're letting people bring their drinks into the talk, so it should get kind of rowdy.
Okay, right. So I did already inquire about this question. So when does the wine start? And it is at the afternoon break. So your talk is right after the first wine is opened. All right. That's cool. So we were talking also, you were mentioning, I think, you have kind of an interesting way of talking about things. So you said it's time to bring the database in. So can you expand on that a little bit, what you meant by that?
Well, one of my favorite slides in the presentation is this picture of children from the distance, and they're in a circle, they're playing, and in the foreground is a picture of a small child. And what I do is I say, oh, and here's a picture of a database administrator being invited to an Agile Scrum meeting. They're not. It's all the application developers and testers and all this fun stuff. They are doing cool things, and it's fun. And our database administrators, which frankly, they're in charge of the most valuable asset that a company has, the data, the transactions, who bought what, when, and where. They're not invited to this party. And frankly, they haven't been able to benefit from things like Agile, Cloud, DevOps, and they're getting killed with changes as we adopt microservices and containers. So our hope is to bring them in, invite them to the party, let them know that they're important, they're doing good things, and give them the tools and ability to succeed and align with the rest of the company to go as fast.
Yeah, that's actually, I like that. So, and then you were saying you also talked a little bit about in terms of the database administrators, how they can kind of be a bottleneck, right, in terms of the process with DevOps. So maybe share a little bit about that. We don't give away too much because you can always go and watch your talk, but maybe share a little bit about that for a couple minutes, and then we'll wrap it up.
Sure. Well, I don't think they mean to be a bottleneck, all right, and nobody wants to be Dr. No. But unfortunately, with the way SQL is, it's a declarative language. So they have to look at things like, oh, there's a foreign key. And I'm going to go and make certain that columns in that foreign key have an index already applied. That's DBA 101. Well, it's tough to do, and it's manual. And those things wind up being the bottleneck, not because DBAs are trying to be bad folks. They want to be successful. They want to help the company, but that's just the tools that they've been given. And we're going to talk about how we can fix that, what we can do to speed that process, to make them more successful, and frankly, get them to start doing the things that they really want to do, the reason why they became database administrators in the first place.
All right. Thanks for sharing that with us, Robert. Actually, I really am very interested in what you had to say. I think that's a cool concept, bringing the DBA into the team. I mean, I never really considered that they were excluded, but being a collaborator myself, I agree. I think that's really important to make them part of the team, and I'm curious to hear more about your talk. Maybe I'll join after my first glass of wine. No, I'll save that for later at the dinner. All right, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us. All right, okay.